Hello, hello. I just wanted to make a quick video about the wood snake year coming to a close and the beginning of the fire horse getting well underway. The snake, the year of the wood snake is not going out quietly as so many are experiencing right now. There's a lot going on, a lot still coming to the surface, but it is coming to a close. And so I hope that most of you are finding some comfort in that, because I know there was a lot of disharmony and difficult times of making peace with things. You know, in our lives, we go through a lot of stuff that gets us here. And they weren't easy then, and apparently they're not leaving quietly either. So be gentle with yourselves as that energy starts to come to a close. But what I've been realizing, I know probably a lot of you know that I traveled to Egypt on my own last year, which was pretty far out of my comfort zone. I went on my own, met up with a group of strangers, and it was beautiful. I learned a lot about myself. Not right then in the moment. It was more things that I came back with, old knowledge, sacred knowledge, things that really resonated inside of me and really brought online a need to be sovereign within myself and a need to honor the entire path, the entire journey as a whole in its entirety, you know. One of the things about the year of the wood snake that I found kind of amusing was that I actually started doing woodworking last year. I've never done woodworking in my life. Not really. I mean, aside from shop class when I was a kid. But I think everybody did that. We all make gumball machines and stuff. Um, and you'd think I would have done more with woodworking because my dad was a shop teacher at Hamburg, retired after 30 some years. But anyway, so I refinished 7 pieces of wooden furniture last year after I returned from Egypt. All pretty much garbage picked or given to me that were needing a lot of TLC. I stripped them down. I painstakingly and lovingly rebuilt what was no longer there. Like, I had to dig in and find a foundation to be able to build off of for every single one of the structures. Nothing was in perfect condition. Everything needed to be restored. And that was my life. That was the year of the wood snake. It was restoration. It was stripping away the old, shedding skins, right? So in the process of doing all of those projects, I stripped everything down. I sanded every piece. I lovingly restored every piece. And at the same time, I was doing that for myself as well. I went quiet pretty much most of the summer. I stayed to myself a lot. And in the time that I was sanding and refinishing and rebuilding and just restructuring, like I never thought that any of those pieces were beyond repair. I always saw the good bones, the good structure, something that I could work with. And I've always seen that for myself, and I've always seen that in other people. And it almost came around full circle to me just in the last little while here that it was actually the year of the wood snake, which was all about shedding skins. And I symbolically was working with wood. Did not realize it at the time that that was what it was about for me. I never put two and two together. It never dawned on me. Yeah. Well, and maybe it dawned on other people what I was doing. People looking from the outside in going, she's doing a lot of internal work. The year of the wood snake brought this about. I never put it together. So kudos to you if you did. But anyway, I did. I did those things and I loved it. It was digging down into that foundation and picking out the parts that I couldn't anchor to. Like, we, as a whole, are not trash. There's a foundation in there that is worthy of saving, that is worthy of putting the time and the effort and the patience into, the love and the grace that we would extend to anyone else needs to go towards ourselves, and we're all worthy. We're all worthy of those painstaking moments that bring us to remembering our wholeness, our value. We all have value. We do. It just gets buried and it gets, stifled by the noise. There's always so much noise around us. And something is always vying for our attention. But rarely is it ourselves, right? We worry about taking care of everyone else. And, I was no different. So when I was restoring that furniture with so much love, some of it will end up going to other homes or has already. But it was amazing to do that. And the synchronicity of it did not pass me by. Not fully, it almost did, but I caught it. Now I understand completely what that time was about for me. My younger brother told me that I was out of touch last year, and I was like, was I out of touch? I don't think I was out of touch at all. I was just not readily available for all the things that I might have inserted myself into, or maybe less available for some of the things that I normally would have entertained. But last year was about changing those things. It was about going within. It was about the struggle under the surface. We got to get rid of some of that mold that was growing. And I use the word mold because I stripped down this rocking chair, and I think I mentioned this in another video, and underneath all the layers of paint, in between the original finish and the poly that was on it, once I got all the paint off, was black mold. So that took a little bit. I had to, spray that down with a black mold killer and then wait 24 to 48 hours before I could do anything with it. So it was a process. It was an entire process of hurry up and wait. Take your time, be intentional, be loving, be gentle. You know, every second that I put into that furniture, I loved it. Even when it was tedious, I still loved it. I was creating something and restructuring something and putting intention and love into something tangible. I did that for myself too. So in those quiet moments, I was rebuilding myself. And, you know, I think about the time that I spent in Egypt on the Nile River or in the temples, just being quiet and coming back to myself. Yes, I made connections with everybody, you know. I was more of the one-on-one person than I was the group session person. You know, I wasn't a big joiner because it wasn't about that for me. I didn't go to all the places and do all the things that everybody did. I was more of a solo retreatist. So, you know, it was nurturing for me to be by myself. That first day on the Nile River, I did a full moon ceremony by myself on the upper deck of the ship. Full moon, you know, I had my crystals out, I had rose petals, I had sacred items that I had taken from other people to, you know, plunk into the river. I had put a shungite in, which is a crystal for cleansing water. I threw that over the side to help cleanse the river. I threw a couple of malachites in for different people, one for myself. I took care as an ambassador of the earth. You know, I'm a caretaker. I'm a good worker. I'm a way shower, a light holder, whatever you want to call it. But I take that very seriously. And so when the time came to do that for myself, I really did get a lot of satisfaction out of being that caretaker, being that I held, like I was almost want to call it a gatekeeper for my own being. I didn't let just anybody in or any energy. It was not available to any and all like I used to be. I was a gatekeeper for my own sovereignty, for my own energy. And for me, that was growth. It looked like it was quiet expansion, internal expansion, I think is what it was. But it was very intentional. So this upcoming year, the year of the fire horse, what I see in my mind's eye is a fire with its mane and its tail made of fire, just launching itself full speed ahead, no apologies, no, just all out running, but it's not out of fear. It's out of passion and joy. Have you ever seen a wild horse run? How free and how open and bold. It's bold. So I feel like this year is about being bold and being passionate and running towards your passions is what I see. Fulfillment, like of all the ways. And it's I feel like it's going to be a fun year, and I'm really looking forward to it. I know that January was the beginning of the new year. I don't buy that shit. I never really felt it this year or last year, even the few years before. I felt like we're just coming into a new year. I wanted to do a vision board a couple months ago, and I could not bring myself to do it. It felt out of place, and I just couldn't do it. I wasn't ready. The year wasn't ready to be acknowledged yet. I was still in that old wood snake energy that was still needing to be given its due, right? To finish it out. You started this shit, you're gonna finish this shit. Just kidding. So yeah, no, I was completing a cycle. And now that I feel that it's the completion is upon us, I feel like it's time for me to start to embrace new things. I mean, last year I did a lot of woodwork and a lot of creative stuff, and I did my gardening this year, and I've been moving into this a lot more uh, items that I'm making on my own with like the beef tallow and the bone broth. And I started going through some seeds. I'm getting ready to start to plant seeds that I can use for this year's garden. I bought heirloom seeds, and I'm really looking forward to starting something new and teaching myself new things. Like I um as of, sometime by the end of the week, I should have all the ingredients to start actually making lotion. Before I was making balms and salves and things like that because the ingredients were different. It was stuff that I already had or knew how to use at least. But lotion is different. It requires an emulsifier, which I did do my research on, and I'm going to make the safest, most natural lotion that I can. And it didn't come without a lot of research. And me being patient zero, they all get tried out on me first. So if you ever see like red blotchy stuff, and you know, I may have been trying something. um so yeah, I am learning how to be more self-sustainable, and that's been coming. And I think a lot of us are moving into that place where my dog is over here laying on the floor. I covered him up with a blanket because that's what we do as dog moms. So, yeah, I think I'm still in a learning phase for sure. But I'm excited to see what this fire horse year is bringing. You know, I don't want to run around with my ass on fire or my hair, really. I'm good with that. But I am looking for that forward to the forward motion. And I think it's going to be moving rather quickly. And I'm excited to where we're going. Not to where we're going, about where we're going as a whole, as a collective. I think it's an exciting time. And if you're still struggling with the wood snake energy, I hope that you could be patient with yourself and give yourself some grace as you finish out this year. I know emotions are high, things are looking unstable, and people are crying out about the injustices of the world, but gosh, you guys, nothing changes if nothing changes, right? So we're seeing all these things, and oof, I gave myself some big hair, sorry. If we continue on to let everything just slide by us, I trust in the candidates that I voted into office, or somebody's going to come and save me. Well, no, they're not. We're going to save ourselves. It's always been written. The governments should never have had this kind of power over us. Not like they do. The school systems, the mental health systems, the medical systems, all the systems are breaking down. And they need to be broken down. Like the wood snake, find a solid foundation and rebuild. This is what we're doing. Don't be scared. There's something beautiful on the other side of that. We don't need to be coming from a place of fear. We need to be coming from a place of, well, it's got good bones. How do we dig deep enough to find a solid structure and build again? We're not done. Like, this is where the younger generations are coming in and saying, I'm not lazy. I'm just waiting for y'all to get your heads out of your asses. Now, can we do what's right? Now, can we do this thing? We see things differently. The younger generation, they don't want war. They don't want all the stuff that we grew up with. That's old stuff. That's old control. Like, there's no place for that now. It's time to start fresh. Rebuild what we can rebuild. But maybe it's got good bones. But you know what? They've got new, fresh, inventive ideas. Let's give them a shot. Let's see what they've got. They're moving in. They're the ones that are waiting to take over once we get our old wrinkly asses out of the way. Let's go. It's going to be a great year, and it's going to take off like a shot. If it hasn't already. These young kids are moving fast. They are movers and shakers. And I'll hold feet. I have no problem with that. I may not be on the front line going, hey, guess what I invented? I'm not tech savvy, so I don't have any of that. But I will anchor in, and I'll keep the peace. I'll do whatever I can to help. But I'm just here for the ride. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm not afraid. I trust that we can come together as a community. Part of that whole last summer, staying to myself and being a sovereign being within myself, knowing that no matter what, I will be okay. I will be okay. I'm self-reliant in a lot of ways. I can be even more self-reliant should I need to be. And I may even choose to be, who knows. But more will come. But I think that we need to allow things to be redesigned. And, it's like our ancestors. They didn't give us all shit, like all wounds. They gave us some wisdom. That's why we asked them for help. I have an altar set up over here on this side that honors my ancestors. They were strong. They were resilient, and so are we. Take a page out of their book. They were not weaklings. So we can be strong for our kids, for our grandkids who are creating the next world. You know, they're doing new things that we have no concept of. Not yet, but we will. Let's encourage them. Encourage them to be great.